Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to the LinkedIn Marketing Webinar. We have 329 people on the call today, so I'm very excited about that. This is going to be a very short webinar. It's going to be about 20 minutes. And at the beginning of my presentation, we're going to have a 10-minute Q&A. So if you have any questions, please write them down. And at the end of the webinar, you'll have an opportunity to ask them. Also, I'm going to give you the link to download the PowerPoint presentation. So don't feel like you have to write everything down, because I'll give you the link. You'll be able to download the same presentation you're seeing on your screen right now. Okay, let's get started. LinkedIn marketing, 14 ways to use LinkedIn to promote your business. Okay. So, what industries can benefit more from LinkedIn? Although I feel like every single company and individual in the planet can benefit from using LinkedIn, those companies that sell to businesses have a greater advantage. And that's because LinkedIn is a business network. And if you sell to end consumers or individuals, I'm not saying that LinkedIn cannot work for you. I'm just saying that if you sell to companies, maybe you can see a lot more benefit from LinkedIn. So, how to play the game? No spam, right? Today, tomorrow, ever. This sounds really obvious, but this is what most people do. And you can probably get away with spamming a little bit on Twitter or even on Facebook. But LinkedIn is completely different. When you approach people offering them your services or any products you sell, they don't like that. It's always frowned upon. So keep in mind that LinkedIn is about building relationships. It's about meeting people. It's not about selling your products. It's not about selling your services. Although that could be the end result, but that's not how you have to approach it. So let's start by talking about how to create an attractive profile. First, we have the photo. And it might sound a little unfair, but people will make assumptions about you based on the way you look. And again, it's not very fair, but that's what it is. So make sure that you put a professional photo on your LinkedIn profile. The next element on your profile is what goes right below your name. And that's kind of like the description of what you do and how you can help people. And this not only appears below your name, but it will appear below your photo every time you post something or you do anything on LinkedIn. So this is the first thing people are going to see. It's really important that you're very clear about how you can help people with their businesses. Then we have the status update, and you can update your status every 2 hours or every 2 years if you want. And this works pretty much the same way the Facebook status updates work. The way I use it is every time I write a new blog post or I have a new seminar or webinar coming, I post it here in my status. Then we have the number of people that have recommended your services. And I'll show you later in the presentation how you can get a lot of people to do this for you. It's really easy, and it's social proof at work. Because, put yourself in your customer's shoes. They go to your page, and they see that 43 people said your services are great, you're really good at what you do. That's the best way to sell yourself, right? What you say is kind of biased, but what other people say about you has a lot more value. Then we have how many people you're connected with, and we have your websites. And most people, they just put for example, this first link right here, that's a link to my blog. I'm sorry, to my website. And the second one is a link to my blog. And the third one is a link to my Facebook group. So what most people do is they write my website and my blog. But what not a lot of people know is that by using your keywords here, it will help you rank higher on Google for all these different keywords. So for example, for my website homepage, I want to rank high on Google for the keyword Internet Marketing Agency. So I don't write anything too broad. I write Internet Marketing Agency, the same exact keyword that I want to rank for. And I did the same thing here for online marketing blog. Then you have your Twitter page in your summary. A lot of people will read your summary, so make sure you write a really good one. And these are other elements that appear on your profile page. The first one is specialties, and you should use this field to put as many keywords as you can. And this is because the more keywords you have, the easier it will be for people to find you when they search for all these different keywords. In my case, I have online marketing expert, internet marketing specialist, search engine optimization. You can have whatever you want here. And then not only people can see how many people recommended you on your profile page, but they can actually see the recommendations. So that's why it's so important to get recommended on LinkedIn. People can see what groups you belong to, and they can see what kind of things you're interested in. And finally, there's a progress bar that shows how complete your profile is. And I highly recommend that you take this all the way to 100%, because the more complete your profile is, it's going to look more attractive, and it's going to be easier for people to find you. So we talked about the value of getting recommended. I'll show you how to do it. It's actually very, very simple, and it doesn't take more than 5 minutes. You click on Profile, then Recommendations, and then you click on Request Recommendations. And you can send up to 200 requests at once. So basically, you select the job you want to be recommended for. You select up to 200 of your contacts, and an automatic recommendation request gets sent to all these 200 people. Tactic number 2, this is my favorite one, reach out to people. My goal is to reach 5 people per week, 5 people I've never talked to before. And I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so I usually see about 100 profiles per week. And I always find like 4 or 5 people I find really, really interesting, and I always want to know these people a little better. And it's fun to know people that they're kind of interesting, you have something in common with. And I really have no agenda. I just want to have fun. Sometimes something good comes from it, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't really care. I'm not there to sell my products or my services. I meet with people. If they're local, I'll meet with people in person. I usually invite them to have a cup of coffee. If they're not local, I usually have a 10-15-minute conversation over the phone. But I never really talk about what I do. But here's the interesting thing. People will always ask. So if they ask, yeah, by all means, I'll tell them. But I focus the conversation on them. I ask them what they do and what kind of clients they can serve, and I try to match them with people they can do business with. And that leads me to tactic number 3. Be a connector. If you know a family that just moved to Denver and they're looking to buy a new house, and you also know a real estate agent in Denver, it just makes sense to connect those 2 people together. And people really like it when you introduce them to other people who can help them. Tactic number 4, join groups. I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of groups on LinkedIn. This is one of the best features of LinkedIn, but very, very few people use them. And the way you search for groups is you actually use the same search box that you use to search for people. But you click on the arrow here, and instead of people, you select groups. And in this case, I searched for real estate. And I found these 2 groups. This one has 22,000 members, and this one has 21,000 members. And you can join these groups by just clicking on the buttons here. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. I mean, these are 22,000 people involved in real estate together. I mean, if you sell products to real estate agents or mortgage brokers or anybody related to real estate, this is a really valuable group to be a part of. Once you're a member of a group, you can start a discussion within that group. And this is really easy to do. You go to groups and then my groups, so you can see a list of all the groups you belong to. And then you just click on start a discussion. And something like this will pop up. And you have the discussion headline and then the actual discussion. So I always like using thought-provoking questions here. Is our world completely insane? I mean, who's not going to read this? You know, if they see this, most people will click on it. And then I ask a couple of questions and I ask for people's input. And this gets me a lot of exposure on LinkedIn. I usually get between 100 and 250 clicks from LinkedIn every single day, at least from Monday through Friday. So I do this, you know, maybe like twice a week with questions. And I use this also as a market research tool. Every time I want to know something, I just ask, you know, and people answer. People like being, you know, part of the conversation. And right here, you'll notice that you can attach a link. So every time I write a new blog post, I click on attach a link right here. And this is what it looks like. And usually I have, you know, a couple of questions and then a call to action to read the rest of the blog post. So do you ever